Hello, hello, hello. How are you?
There you go.
Now, we have overcapacity. I told him that he said, we were fine. Man, overcapacity.
So what do we do? What do we do?
Can't remember what, no more.
Did you count everybody's back? Did you count everybody?
Yeah, overcapacity.
Where my corners?
We're the right and right.
South College. Should be South College around the corner. Yeah. Yeah, she's on one corner across the street from him. She's next door to me on the other corner. She's behind me. Literally right now. Literally Housewives too.
Everybody said that they were coming.
Great. I want to thank everybody for coming out here today. We're going to start our zoning commission meeting. It is 5:30. Everybody is here except for Joshua and me. So we're going to have Brent do the prayer. I'm going to do the Texas flag, and Scott's going to do the so Jeff, please rise.
Everybody, please bow your heads. Dear Lord, we come to you tonight. We just thank you for your wonderful blessings you bestowed upon us. And we just pray for your guidance tonight, that your will be done. And we just bless everybody here tonight. And thank you so much for coming out. And we please ask that your will be done.
Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
You can see it.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead. Okay. After the pledge.
The oath of office. Aaron, General Secretary, Josh, Becky, Heidi, Olivia, and Scott. We're going to do it all time. So please place your hand in your left hand on the Bible. And then we're going to do this. In the name and by the authority of the state of Texas, I,
Aaron, one of
Hazel,
Yes, Scott Crawford.
do solemnly swear that I will faithfully execute the duties of the office of Planning and Zoning Commission of the state of Texas, and will to the best of my ability preserve, protect, and defend the constitutional law of the city of Cleveland and of the United States and of this state, so help me God.
So I can take a picture of y'all really quick for the website.
I only got this.
It's okay. Ready? 1, 2. Awesome, thank you so much.
Say what the other say. Say what the other say. Say what the other say. You scared? I'm not step down. You understand? You want to travel.
Up next is discussion and action items. We're going to go to number 4, consideration and possible action on the application by Apple Development requesting tract Joseph Fenner, A-441, Liberty County, Texas, being Lot 8 and parts of Lot 4 and 9, Block N of Smith's Edition, being known as 600 Easy Street, that currently classifies as R1 Single Family and MH Manufactured Home District, to be known as High Density District.
Good evening. Before we get started, I know we have a full house. Thank y'all for coming. I know this is very important for all of y'all. At this time, we are over capacity. So what I am going to ask as we go through the items to the agenda, once the item that you are here for has been completed, if y'all could go ahead and exit. I'd rather do that than have the fire marshal show up and do it himself. So let's go ahead and do that. And if you want to wait for your item to come up, you're more than welcome to wait inside the lobby. And then when your item is up to discuss, then you can come in and we can kind of swap seats, okay? Awesome, thank you so much. So to get started, welcome, thank y'all, Commission Board, Zoning Commission Board, so sorry. So our first item that we have is, of course, y'all heard 600 Easy Street. Currently, that property is right here behind the Sunoco. It is as R1 at the moment. In y'all's packets that I did send y'all, y'all got the details of what the R1 Single Family Home Ordinance does call for. At this time, I do have Mr. Scott Lambert here, who's going to be speaking on behalf of his request on having that rezoned as high density.
Yes, I'm Scott Lambert. I live in 1652 County Road 2274 in Cleveland, Texas. It's in Tarleton Prairie. What we're looking for is to change, okay, there's three of those lots that are R1, which is housing, of course. And then the strip that's behind that is manufactured homes. We want to turn that into a high density, so we did look at building, a couple of years ago, building an apartment complex over there in that section. It's a good, easy access to the school. We all have our plans for townhomes, which would, the reason why we need high density versus R1 is to change the whole concept of the area. We don't have, I don't think, we have a few townhomes in town in Glen Park, I think. There's 2 or 3 there that's scattered, but this would be just a total package on 9.6 acres.
And how many units total?
I think there's 96.
Anybody have any questions?
My only concern would be traffic. There's that, the whole main street is so congested. And then we already have the apartments back here, the apartment complex, recommended. So we would be converting, to commercial, is that correct?
Or it'd be high density.
Yeah, this would go from an R1, and this land is split right now between R1 and manufactured zoning areas, specifically for manufactured homes, just converting it to a high density.
But to follow up on her question, how would you deal with the traffic? Because it's going to add to the, it's like just a 2-lane road.
Yeah, it is. It's a 2-lane road. I mean, the only thing, you have a red light on Houston Street. You have 2 ways to go. which helps tremendously. Versus like the one on 787, the apartment complex, they have one way out, one way in. I mean, it's not on the agenda. We do have another apartment complex that I'm affiliated with that's going in behind the police station at 787 in Holly.
And, the mock-ups look nice, and Cleveland is, and has, could absolutely benefit for more housing like this. The mock-ups are nice, it's a duplex, it's not a full apartment home.
I agree.
It's not a HUD home. I mean, we're not asking for general land office money or anything like that. So the apartment complexes here in town are 96, 98% booked. So this will give people, they can actually own the home. Each one of them will end up selling. Yeah.
Is it like a lease to own site?
No, it won't be. They buy.
They buy it?
Yeah.
It's how many units?
96. The lot size I've been going over a lot of stuff, but I think they're 25 by 105 or 110. But you have to understand that's, you block it off like that. That way somebody owns that lot and the firewall in between the other, because you have four plexes is what you have, or three or four. Kind of like a condominium.
Any other questions? We're now going to move to the public comment phase for this and only this line item. So, whoever wants to go up first, this is ma'am. You want to go? First, please state your name and your address.
My name is Janie Felker. We own the mobile home park across the street at 521 Easy Street. My question is not unlike the other one, is the traffic. It's already a lot of traffic on that road, but also there's no sidewalks. There's a lot of children that have to walk up and down the road now. So that puts probably at least another third, as far as the traffic goes. So I would be interested to know if they're going to have sidewalks added in there somewhere. I guess that would be something maybe the city could look into. That it might be something that you could consider. And also the drainage. When these were built, what will they do with the drainage? Because our area is one of the highest in Cleveland. And I would hate to see that change by taking a wooded area of 9 acres, basically, and turning it into concrete, which I'm not opposed. I like the idea of townhomes, but I just want to see or ask the question.
There is detention built in our complex, so that meets city standards.
Awesome, thank you.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I'm sorry, that's my husband. We couldn't sit together. So on the sewer, we were told when we put in our park 30 years ago that the sewer on that street was at capacity. And they've already put in another mobile home park in some other areas. So that would be another thing the city would have to consider. We did let loose some of our property to the city because of that fact. So that's just a comment. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Just to answer her question, so we do require when developers do come to us, we have our development meeting. We have implemented to where we do a feasibility study on that. So that will answer your question when it comes to your sewer. We do that study, and then that will allow us to know if we're good where we're at or if we need to upgrade that. Okay?
Anybody else? Moving on to, I knew that. All right, we have a motion.
I make a motion that we approve the transition from the zoning R1 and manufacturing home to
I second that.
All those in favor?
Thank you.
Now we move on to number 5.
Yes. I can do it. It's up to your people. You're more than welcome to.
I mean, my first time here, so I'm just looking at it.
Go ahead and you can.
Okay, fine. No. All right, number 5, consideration and possible action on the application by Crystal and Daniel Contreras requesting tract Holtz, 4.8 acres, or AC, what's acres? Block 2, lot 7, 8 acres, .3214, being known as 205 Charles Street, that currently classifies as R1 Single Family District, to rezone as R2 Two Family District.
Yes. Good evening again. So I do have this property at 205 Charles Street. I have Crystal and Daniel Contreras. They are here to go ahead and just pitch, I guess, or give you further information as far as classifying this currently as the R1 single family home. What they are wanting to do is move it into duplexes, I believe, as well. So I think they are here. Yes, he is. And he will give you more information on that as well.
Hello.
Hello, everyone. So this is pretty simple, really. We're just asking you to rezone to multifamily. We want to put in duplexes. It's just one building with 2 units, and then a garage with an apartment upstairs. Pretty straightforward.
Okay, are there any comments for this one only? Okay, I have a question. I know exactly where that lot is. Is that big enough for that?
Yeah, so it's, I actually have a plan for that submitted already.
Great,
But,
great.
yeah, it's about a little bit over an acre, I believe. But yeah, if it's fine.
Okay. Anybody have any other questions, comments? All right, so I'll call for a motion.
Motion to approve.
All right, all those in favor? 6. All right. And we are now to item number 6. Consideration and possible action on the application by Plum Grove Group LLC requesting tract TJ Williams, tract 2367, acres 22.89, and TJ Williams, tract 49, acres 2.5311, that currently classifies as R1 Single Family District to rezone as a PUD, Planned Unit Development District.
Good evening. So this property is on FM 1010. So This specific property does classify currently as a R1 single family. The plan is to move this development over into a PUD development. Please keep in mind that with the PUD development, you do have to where you have to come to an agreement with City Council on the PUD. There are restrictions whenever you do have a PUD, and I did provide that in y'all's packets. It's a little bit different and goes into more details as far as your green space and what needs to be into that PUD. One of the other properties that we do have in the city that is a PUD that I guess could be a good reference is your Grand Oaks property. If you go to Grand Oaks, they have you have your pools, you have all your green space, you have a golf course, so those are items that are required under the PUD, but of course that will come into the agreement process whenever it is with City Council. And at this time, I have Scott Lambert to speak further on that property.
One more time. If that map is too small, here's the. I'm sorry. What we're looking for is to change from R1 to a planned unit development, which means it has to have more than 25 acres. And by doing the PUD, it gives you variances on the size of the lots. That's pretty much it. So, I mean,
And has any, at this point, Scott, has anything been communicated with the city on any agreements from the city?
we have not. We've met with, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 3 different city managers on this. We've had multiple planning meetings on this. Matter of fact, the very first one we met with, when we only owned that 22 acres, that's what we bought originally. Then the city manager and the finance manager at that time, they said, you don't have enough for planned unit development, even though that is, this area for this subdivision would be good for that because of the size of the property, it being kind of small, and 22 acres. So we went out and bought the other 2.5, is what we did, to make it over 25. So that's how we got to the planned unit development, and y'all's minimum standard is 25 acres. All we want to do is be able to give a variety of lot sizes that are smaller than 7,500 square feet. So that means some of them are 40 to 50 foot. There's some that are a lot bigger than that just because of how the property is carved out. But doesn't mean the houses are going to be inferior or anything. So that, I mean, I think that's the subject that they were talking to. This is KB Homes. These are some samples of model homes that they build. KB is one of the national brands. I'm sorry they're not in color. I'm not that smart. But I think some of the stuff that I've heard during this last week and a half is that they were going to be manufactured homes or other stuff, not stick-built homes. So those price range, the houses in that neighborhood will be somewhere around 212 to a little over 300, maybe 350. There's some of them that could be bigger than that, depending, I mean, worth more than that. But, I mean, I would rather give y'all a range of 212 to 325. That's going to be built in there. There's 123 lots. I think she has it on the screen. I mean, it could be pulled. Sorry about that.
Question?
KB Homes is the builders that are gonna build homes, not manufactured housing.
No, they're building homes much like that right there.
Is it much like this or this?
I can't say that it's exactly that home.
So your intent is to sell the property to KB Homes?
What we do is we go in and put the infrastructure in, streets and everything, and we sell the lots. We don't build. But we offered it to KB Homes first. Is what we did. We don't have a contract with them right this minute, simply because I don't know what we're gonna build. Most of the time I go out and I sell it. I sell the subdivision and then I contract it so I can get my construction on. I mean, I have a
Currently in this area,
yes, ma'am.
what's currently in this area?
Right next, there's a few homes across the street. There's the Circle Drive group that's here. There is some old storage buildings and a coffee shop right next door. There's a bunch of vacant land. There's a bunch of vacant land that goes, that's right next door. There's the transmission, the Entergy's transmission center, and then I think is the school where the buses are stored. So that's what's there.
The service center that you're talking about is what, less than a mile and a half away or something like that?
Yeah.
I mean, how is that gonna, how's a, kind of sounds like, I used to be on the school board, so it kind of sounds like what,
Sure.
What they did whenever they were building the new subdivisions down south. They sold the land, or they bought the land, then they plotted everything out, and then they had no communication whatsoever with any other entity, whether it be the city council or the school board or anything like that. I'm not saying that you're doing that, I'm just saying that it kind of sounds like that. And I'd like to know if you have spoken with anybody else other than the city council. Like, have you spoken with the school board to see how that's going to...
Stephen's aware of my name.
I'm sorry, what?
The superintendent.
Mr. McCandless?
Mhm.
And you spoke with him about this?
Yes, he's in my Rotary Club.
But, like on, I guess, like, have you gone on record and spoken with him about this specifically, and also the school board?
I have not spoken to the school board. Have not. But I can tell you, I've already got a certificate for ingress, egress from TxDOT on this piece of property. And I'm going to have to spend $200,000 to put a turn lane in front of the neighborhood. Which they didn't make the school put one in down.
And I think, I mean, we'll open up public comments here in just a second, but it seems like there's just a lot of, on PUD, a lot of the stuff should have, communicated with the city before it got to this point.
We have.
There's no agreements, there's not been a lot of formal, I mean, we didn't even know what was gonna be built until we passed this out tonight, and this is a maybe. So,
You can ask the city, since Danielle's been here since last July. Is that right, Danielle? You've been here since last July?
Say it one more time.
When did you come on?
I came in July.
July. And in July, first part of August.
Yes, I would say it was when we left.
Exactly. But before that, we've had planning meetings with Sean, Robert Meadows, I'm trying to think who's the other, Kelly McDonald. I can go back that far. Kelly and Bobby, and then Steve.
we've had discussions, but we haven't gotten to their
No, because they kept on saying we had to go. I've been trying to get here for a long time, to this point right here. And I've been working with Danielle, and we finally got it on the books.
How's the, based on the amount of lots and everything that's gonna be on there, have you all thought about how the traffic is gonna impact the surrounding community?
That's why we're putting in a turn lane.
So that's just for 1010, correct?
Correct.
Are you going to tie into any of the streets that lead into Circle Drive?
It goes down, we're putting in the street right there that runs into Wall and Roosevelt. It's right by Bobby Howe's house.
So, you said it's gonna run into the wall.
This is, I think this is what detention
It runs into Wall Street turns into Roosevelt.
Right. What's the green space? That's the only green space? No place.
Off of that road look like Roosevelt and Wall, when you do them.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to have two, you have neighborhood of over 100 lots, you have to have two exits for fire protection. Isn't that right?
Yes, sir.
Over 100 lots, so that, I mean, that's, if I had a lot less than that, I could come out on 1010. But for fire protection, they may make me even less lots than 100.
What about going by Travis Street, since that's on the,
We don't go that far.
That's too far.
We go back, let's see, where are we on?
Knowledge Street?
Okay, I don't go that far. This little block right here is Robert Howe's house, or it used to be Jill Thomas's house. It's right there. We don't go off, our property does not go to College Street. Where,
This area.
Brother Stan, Gloria, and
Let's see where it's at. What, just throw it out there, why not connect into Bryan Street?
we don't own to Bryan. I mean, that's what I heard that from some of the citizens here, that our neighborhood wraps around Circle Drive. It is what, it's right there. We don't wrap around.
Scott. Let him know the truck's up. No.
Yeah, it's this one right here.
I put the plat up there. The plat's up there.
All right, do we have any other questions? All right. Concerning this line item only. All right. Yes, sir.
That's okay, so I live at 801.
Sir, can you please step up to the podium, please?
Sorry about that.
State your name and address.
So, my name's Sean Smith, okay? I live at 801, which is where this road's gonna come out, right in front of my home, okay? I live at the corner of Wall and Roosevelt, where it turns to dirt, okay? I live in a big white house right there. This road's gonna cut out right in front of my home. What's that gonna do to my kids when all these people move in? You know, they're gonna kill everything right there. I mean, it's gonna, my house has done flooded twice because I've done cleared the property and screwed the drainage up completely. Okay? My insurance has went up fourfold since that. Since they cleared this piece of property. How are they gonna fix all that crap? Is my question, you know? I mean, $200,000 home is gonna be garbage once all this goes in. So, I mean, I want an answer on that one. You know, can anybody answer that? No? No answer?
Yeah.
How do you want me to respond, or do you want to go through that?
You know, I think that there'll probably be a lot of questions. So.
I mean, the whole reason we moved into Circle Drive is because of the older people in the neighborhood. You know, I mean, what better way to raise your kids around a bunch of elderly people? I mean, they're gonna teach your kids how to act. And I experienced my kids learning. Oh, sorry. The older generation, I mean.
I think it might be good to let, let's hear from a few people so the board can hear.
Okay, appreciate it.
Thank you,
I'm the elderly Nicky Coates. 1007 South College. I brought my elderly Bible. Yeah, put that down. Well, this Plum Grove Group LLC has got our attention, as you can see. And although it doesn't wrap all around the neighborhood, it skirts the south and the east side. And we feel that by doing this, well, first we'd ask you the group to build houses on lots as big as ours, and it wouldn't be an issue. But although it's not, and this has been brought Scott mentioned a while ago, it's been brought to the city years ago, and it failed the PUD test because it had enough land. So they recently acquired enough, and that's what brought them to this point. Well, it was a makings of a disaster then, because no one wanted it. I was on the city council at the time. I was informed that it wouldn't make the 25-acre mark, so it's a dead issue. But they still tried. It's not the same as Grand Oaks, though. Someone mentioned earlier. Grand Oaks is a TERS. This is a PUD. It's completely different. Everything that they build in this plan is minimal size, just bare bones stuff. At Grand Oaks, they can build a park out of an acre. They can't afford to do an acre of park here. Street width, street lights, all that stuff is very minimal. But there's some alarming things about this that is already been mentioned. The entrance and exit on Wall Street, our quiet, safe community will be no longer. I can assure you. You probably know that. If this passes, there's going to be for sale signs all over the place. We have history there that we don't want to lose. And a lot of us are older, but it's a good place to raise families too. And we had very, very little theft, very little accidents, none as far as I know accidents. So I don't want to take too much more time because there's a lot of people that want to speak, but you guys are new at this today, and this is a good example of a train wreck. People show up, this amount of people show up to a train wreck. If it's something good, you'll get a third of this many people. You get something bad, they all show up. So we still got to go through city council to get this finalized. The same people will be here next month to make, hopefully they'll make the right decision, and like I'm hoping you guys will tonight. But you're going to hear some negative stuff, maybe even some mad people. Don't let it get you down for your first meeting, but you guys are used to it. Okay? Y'all might want to put your face mask on.
Who's up next? Down.
My name is Clara Nealon, and I live at 156 Circle Drive. And I live on the street just behind Wall Street. So two of my primary concerns, besides the fact that we live in a very peaceful neighborhood and it's very quiet, there are no sidewalks and people walk around the street, and I am concerned about the traffic and people speeding through there, and a lot of kids play in the street there. So I'm concerned about that. Also, I don't know if you remember when the highway access was closed off and they were routing all the Highway 59 access down along Travis Street, which is the street in between the railroad tracks and Circle Drive. That street is very narrow, and that was really a nightmare because people were coming off the highway, and normally, now I go that way to work in the morning, so I drive down Travis and I almost never pass another car. But when the highway access was closed off and they were routing traffic down that street, I would pass 4 or 5 cars in the morning, and that street is very narrow and there's no shoulder. And it cannot be widened to what I have been told is it cannot be widened to the railroad track side, because that is, that's owned by the railroad. And so there's a drainage ditch on each side, and I nearly got run off the road. I was spinning gravel a number of times. And so when you're talking about tying this neighborhood in through Circle Drive, you know, that neighborhood is going to be a cut through, and you're going to have a lot of traffic down Travis, and it's going to be quite dangerous. So I'm concerned about that, among, you know, many of the other things that you'll hear tonight. Thank you for hearing me out. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Yes. Sir? Here, you go. Then it'll be
Thank you for the opportunity to speak on behalf of this issue. My name is Robert Howell. I live at 501 Bryan Avenue in Circle Drive. I've got some stuff here I'm just going to kind of throw at you. I won't take too much time, but just to give you a little background about myself, I've lived in Cleveland my entire life. I've been born and raised here. With the exception of 3 years to go to school, I've been here. I'm 51 years old, and all but 6 of the years that I've spent in this community have been in that neighborhood. I moved there when I was 6 years old, and I still live there today. I grew up in a house, I've built a house, and I've bought a house, all in that neighborhood. I currently own 2 properties. My father owns 3. My son owns 1. We all live in this neighborhood. That speaks volumes. It says a lot about what it was then and what it is today. You're talking about the 70s is when my time in this neighborhood originated, and I still call it home today. I'll come back to the importance of ownership. That community's always been an exceptional place to raise kids. You hear a lot of people talk about it being a family atmosphere. I know it from every aspect. From being a 7-year-old kid, riding my bike to all my buddies' houses to get a pickup game of football going in the yard or whatever we were up to that day. I've been there to watching my own son do the same things, and now I'm watching my granddaughter have the benefits of this community and or this neighborhood and what it's meant to its residents. It's a quiet place. It's slow paced. Everybody knows everybody. Neighbor still means something in our neighborhood. It carries a lot of weight. I think it's safe to say that all of this that I've referenced so far would be threatened and certainly compromised by the approval of rezoning this area. A development such as this, with the addition of roads, the overpopulating of a very small area, if you ask me, the life that we've come to know at Circle Drive and we've invested in would forever be changed. Every citizen in our neighborhood, and you're here to argue this point, feel free to speak up, but I say every citizen in our neighborhood has a full knowledge, or had a full knowledge, of the zoning parameters of our area, as well as the city codes and policies that govern this area from the time that they moved in. Whether they bought or built there, they all knew the rules as they exist to this day. It's why most of us chose to move there or build there or still live there. And everything they've done to this point through investing in their homes and in their property is done so because they know that there's a certain equity and value that's going to be maintained their whole time there. One thing I'd like to reference, I've got to take a little bit of responsibility. I've done this with all my fellow neighborhood friends, family. I had a dealing with Scott. He approached me about this because the 2 acres that he's referenced in his deal was acquired from me to reach the 25-acre mark. Now that's significant because I had obviously some conversations, and we'll leave it at what we're at now is not where we were at then. When we discussed the deal, I guess there's more than one way to say a certain thing. When he came to me, he said, I need this land, we're doing a development, it's going to be fantastic. My concern was the integrity of our neighborhood and protecting all of these people. I didn't want to do anything to compromise anything they had. So it was presented to me that there's a lot issue. We have a code and a policy that says every block has to be 7,500 square feet. Most of them require a 75-foot frontage. And the way it was told is if I can purchase this land and we get over that threshold, we'll be able to manipulate the lot frontages but maintain the integrity of the lot itself, which simply means if they could get more houses in there by changing the frontages and maybe making it a little wider in the back or skewing it in some way, but always at the same time maintaining 7,500 square feet, which minimizes greatly how many homes could go in there to start with. This property was originally purchased by Philip Cameron with the intent of doing exactly what they want to do. It was the original 20-plus acres. Every builder he had come in that looked at it and surveyed it said, with the infrastructure investment that's required, the amount of homes you can build in this space, you can't make money. It's a losing proposition. So if we go through all this headache of doing what it takes to build a neighborhood and we put the houses in, we can't recoup. There's no profit there. It's actually going to be a loss. So Philip threw his hands up and said, okay, I'm going to sell the property. It can't be developed under these constraints. So he did. So he sold it. Now here's where we are now. I said all that to say this. All of these things existed when these guys bought the property. They knew what the zone was. They knew what the requirements were by the city, and they bought it anyway. And now they want to not just tweak the rules, they want to destroy them and redefine them. And I'm not okay with that. Had it been displaying anything like what you see there, we wouldn't be having this meeting right now because they wouldn't have 25 acres because I never would have sold them my property, ever. I'm going to close with a few things. Our neighborhood has always been a destination. It is not a thoroughfare. Nikki made a point of saying when we got together not too long ago, in our neighborhood, if you see a car there, they're going somewhere in our neighborhood or else they're lost because it is not anything where someone is trying to get from one place to another through our neighborhood. It just doesn't happen. It would certainly become a very high traffic area. The avoidance of 1010 traffic, once people know that they can get off of 1010, access Wall Street, get to the commerce area of Cleveland, or better yet, backtrack and work their way south to Houston, they can avoid going all the way up to the four-way stop and having to come through other parts of our community, which is designed for that kind of traffic. They would be able to access it through our neighborhood. I just want to say this as well, and I will be done. I'm sorry it took so long. For the benefit of the city, certainly the school as well, not that it's important to this particular meeting, it is to me and Aaron. We have a belonging to the school, but we are a very, very viable and healthy tax base. Our community, for its longevity and the existence of this town and our neighborhood in particular, with the exception of Grand Oaks now, we probably were the best tax base neighborhood in our whole community. Kirbywood might have taken a run at us back in the day when they had the golf course, but you see where it is now and you see where we still are now. But I am very happy about what's happening with Grand Oaks. It is a good thing for our town and certainly a great thing for the city. But that will be compromised. There's just no way around it. If you put that many homes in that small of an area, you just can't maintain the integrity and value that you're hoping to achieve with what we have. Like I said, you're going to literally be taking tax dollars and turning them into tax pennies. And I just don't know why you would want to do that. You don't want to take value from something to try and create value somewhere else. It rarely works that way. So we're very concerned about that. I just don't want us to compromise anything or see that we diminish what we've built in our neighborhood for the sake of something other than what it should have been. I just don't want to see that. I'll leave it at that. Thank you very much for your time, and appreciate your consideration.
Go ahead. You're next.
Hello there, Nicholas Mistero. I live at 816 South College Lane. What I want to bring up here is a lot of people have brought up kids and a thoroughway coming through our neighborhood and traffic increasing. Now, I don't know if everybody's looked at it in this perspective, but as time goes on, we're going to have to start putting up road speed bumps. We're going to have to come up with stop signs, which we don't have in our neighborhood. We don't have these types of things. But in the future, there will be. And I'm sure the developers are not going to put forth the money for this. This is going to come from the city. Now, as far as I know, the city does not have the cash flow to go into the neighborhood and put all this stuff in. All right? So we have to consider these things, these facts, that in the future, this is what's going to happen. It's not, if it's going to happen, as what was said, the thoroughway, Travis is going to become a thoroughway. And it's going to lead straight through Circle Drive. And everybody's going to come through it because they're going to find out, it's a shortcut. So we're going to have to put all these new things to protect kids, to protect everybody else, and we're going to have to reroute school buses. That's going to take more money out of the schools and everything. We're going to have to get new schools, bus stops, and it's just going to be a mess. All right? Also, to piggyback off of what was said about the houses and how much they're worth right now. Now, it was said that these houses are going to go for $350. Now, if you look at the numbers and everything at right now where the real estate is, the real estate is going down. All right, and we all see it. And these houses are not going to be worth $350, maybe around $200. And it will drive Circle. And once this is open, Circle Drive revenue is going to plummet. And then you're going to see a lot of hardworking folks here with that tax base and everything that you're getting from the city. It's going to plummet as well. It's going to be pennies instead of dollars. And then a lot of us are going to get up and move out, and it's going to damage that tax base even more, because you're going to have empty homes sitting there, because we have a new development that can't even sell all their homes over right now, and those are brand new builds, and that's what a lot of people want. And older homes, people are not, and that are worth the same amount as those new builds. People are not going to buy those older homes where they can go and buy one with no problems, already built, ready to go. So this is stuff that I think you guys can take into consideration as well. Well, thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Teresa?
Yes.
Ken was next. Sorry about that.
Well, good evening. Thank you for the public hearing and allowing us to come and speak. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Ken. Last name is Luning, Luning. I'm at 903 South College Avenue. I believe I'm only the third owner of that home. We've been there since 2008. In the last 2 years, due to what everybody knows is taking place with the growth in the area, South College has already become a thoroughfare. And Nikki mentioned the crime in the neighborhood is low, except at our house. 2 years ago on Lowe's, took the truck out of my driveway. They came back last November and tried to take it again. We're going to have another 300 or 400 people next door to us. Cleveland PD can't take care of its city now. Resources are thin. Our concern not only is our property values, but the quality of people that we're going to have next door in our backyard. I can tell you, I'm one of those people that will put up a for sale sign. We invest a lot in this community. I know most of the people here behind me, been in their homes. That's not going to continue. Most of everybody behind here is at least half are retired. I'm almost there. I'm 60. I didn't kill myself the last 15 years to lose my value in my home, especially after the way the values have gone up in the last 4 years and the tax burden that we now have to pay. The city is still broke. So, I don't know about the rest of the people here, but I am vehemently against it. And from what I've heard today, there has not been a whole lot of information that would convince me otherwise from the other parties. And it looks like a shady deal to me. Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak to the zoning committee today. My name is Teresa Coates, and I live at 1007 South College Avenue. And my husband and I have been living there for 22 years. I have, you guys have all heard the top 10 list, right? I have the top 10 reasons why that this rezoning application should be denied. And also I wanted to point out again that this is the second time that this has been brought to the zoning committee and city council, and last time it was denied. Okay, number 10. We had 60 neighbors come to a recent meeting in agreed opposition to this development, and with several more that were not able to make it to that meeting. And I think you can see between here and in the foyer that we have at least that many here today. Number 9. This development will increase the concern for the safety and security of our neighborhood, which is already being threatened weekly through mischief and break-ins that Ken just spoke of. Number 8, the plat shows an access road directly into our neighborhood, not just from Plum Grove Road, as was mentioned before. Now this, I don't know if you guys know how close it is to the curb, but this is a very, very tight curve going from Wall Street around to Roosevelt. In fact, as our neighbors can attest, only one car can go around that corner, or a school bus. There's school buses that go around there, but 2 cars cannot pass at that corner. You have to wait on each other to come around the corner. And also the fact that this is going to need a turning lane off of Plum Grove Road, which is also very, very busy with all of the Grand Colony and Plum Grove people coming into town, coming to the schools and to the businesses. So it's only going to increase that. Number 7, the developer of Plum Grove Group LLC, this development was promised to be on regular sized lots with houses above $250,000, which I doubt that either of those can be achieved with this proposal. Number 6, this crowded development will partially wrap around our neighborhood and will bring down our property values, as was mentioned before, thus reducing income for the city of Cleveland. From, I dare say, is the highest tax value neighborhood in the city limits. Number 5, Cleveland has had the building restrictions of 75 feet lots, wide lots for decades, and for good reasons. Everyone else, for the most part, has had to adhere to these requirements. We ask you to stand firm on these requirements. Number 4, the real estate agent and developer knew these restrictions when they bought the property. Were they so bold as to assume that they would have no problem to get the zoning board or the city council to drastically reduce the standard size lot in order to allow a crowded development in our city limits? Number 3, the lot size that they're requesting is only 40 feet wide. The chart was up there, and you guys probably can't see it. Well, you might be able to see it right there. That is not even as wide as this room, folks. This room is 45 feet wide. The lot sizes are proposed, almost all of them are proposed to be around 40 feet, 41 feet. Can you imagine fitting a house, that many houses on lots this size? To fit a house on this. Most of the lots are 40 by 100, which is 4,000 square feet, not the 7,500 square feet that is currently on the books. And can you imagine cramming a home onto that small lot along with a driveway, 2 cars, or more per home, times 114 homes? 123 homes, thank you. This is not the kind of growth that will improve Cleveland. Also, the pictures that were passed out of the type of homes, there's no contract, as the realtor mentioned, there's no contract signed. So really those pictures are of those houses are really only suggestions at this point. Now, it's said that these houses could be up to $350,000. Can you imagine fitting a $350,000 home, I don't know, on 4,000 square feet? And also, this will not be another Grand Oaks. These 40-foot lots by 100-foot lots, this will not be another Grand Oaks. Also, number 2, a PUD, which is a planned unit development, is not financially good for the city of Cleveland right now with the financial shape the city is in currently, because it will cost the city. And number 1, with nearby Colony Ridge under scrutiny, Cleveland does not need a crowded housing subdivision with possibly high turnover, as in the case of Colony Ridge. Cleveland already has a black eye because of Colony Ridge. We don't want to risk another one here inside of our city limits with small crowded lots. Cleveland needs good exposure, not bad. Help us stick to only good growth inside the city limits of Cleveland. Keep this property R1. Thank you.
No, Kim. Chuck, I need that. Then you're next.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for the opportunity to come here to speak. Thank you everyone that's had input so far. Everybody's got a dog in this fight. Least of all me. We've only been here for a year and a half. We moved down here from Delaware, from hopefully to get to. I was up there working for another company and had enough of them, and so I resigned and came down here. Our kids are down in, well, most of them are down in Kingwood. We looked around down there and those houses are crammed so tightly on one another, we just looked elsewhere. Long story short, we're on our way back to Delaware, looking at one more house over on Magnolia. Wasn't under contract to our knowledge. Went over there, looked at it, liked it, called our agent, saw it under contract. An hour and a half before we called. Couldn't get it. Long story short, another house was presented to us there on Circle Drive. I'm sorry, I live at 172 Circle Drive. Getting ahead of himself. Another house came before us. It was about to go up on sale, hadn't gone on the market yet, so it was about the mama's house. Went over there, looked at it, wife fell in love with it, I was happy. The reason we chose this neighborhood is because of its stature. It is classic. It's like nothing I've ever seen before. It's like what I remember as a kid. Big wide roads, plenty of room for the kids to play. As a matter of fact, today our kids come up here from Kingwood so they can ride their bicycles. They can't ride down there, at least not carefully, without getting run over, nearly getting run over. So this is a place our grandkids love to come and play. So with all the influx, 123 lots, most folks have at least 2 cars. So you're talking 250 automobiles in and out. Realistically, much more than that, maybe even double that. And the infrastructure just cannot support that volume. Our neighborhood can't support that volume, even with our wide streets. So I really ask you guys to take a close look at this and consider it for the betterment of our community. All these points that have been made tonight are fantastic, and it's not for any one of us, it's for all of us collectively. We love it. Our hearts came here before we did, I think, because it's the nicest place I've ever lived, short of where I grew up. But please take the time to consider this structurally. And that turn lane you're talking about putting in, how long is that thing going to be? A couple of miles? Seriously, I'm serious. I'm dead serious. How long is it going to be?
Pretty much a little longer than the width of our cross.
300 feet?
About 400.
Okay. Think of the volume. Let's go back up on that street. Thank you for your time. Thank you all for showing up.
My name is Paula Powell. I'm at 306 Inglewood Street in the subdivision that we've been talking about. I'm one of the classic people. Okay. My husband and I have lived in this neighborhood over 33 years. Our daughters were brought up in the neighborhood, and the reason we moved there was because of the quiet, no traffic. Our kids could play out in the yard if they wanted to. They could do whatever. But this Plum Road LLC, I guess you guys know that they're registered in Sugar Land. I deal with Sugar Land on my job, and I can assure you that Sugar Land values its citizens and its property values, and they would not be proposing this neighborhood in Sugar Land because they would not allow a rezoning of the typical lot sizes to be the smaller lot sizes. And I'm like everyone else, and I can't improve on Robert Howell's speech for sure, but the safety is the major thing that I'm concerned with. Don't have kids anymore, but I do have a disabled, elderly, classic husband. So I don't have to worry about him taking his walks early in the morning or late in the evening because we don't have any traffic. Like others have said, we don't have stop signs, we don't have traffic running through the neighborhood. When you add these lots, they are going to cut through our neighborhood, just like the lady said earlier. Whenever they were rerouting all the 59 traffic, they went through our neighborhood at that time. They will continue to do that. And you add these kind of lots, these smaller lots, you're going to have at least 2 cars on there. And the traffic is going to be unmanageable. The other thing is that if we established the lot sizes in the city of Cleveland, it wasn't just out of thin air. It was for a reason. So when you change this standard on R1 to a smaller lot size, then we're compromising what we've established as a strong neighborhood with integrity. And as far as I'm concerned, that we lose that integrity of our neighborhood, the safety, the friendly, don't have to worry about crime neighborhood, and compromise that with having a neighborhood right behind us. And they will be right behind our house with the very small lots. And we know that, like Scott Lambert, I think his name is, I don't know Scott, but he said that he is bought the property and he's going to sell the lots, but he's not going to build the houses. We have no guarantee those are even going to be the houses that are built there. We have no idea. So, what's that? Somebody was correcting me. That's fine. You can correct me. I'm wrong with that. But I would encourage you to support the tax base that you have with our neighborhood and vote no to this rezoning.
Before I point out the lot size, I think Teresa mentioned 40 by 100.
You're getting your steps in. You're getting your steps in.
Yeah. The lot size, 40 by 100. With the setbacks, front and back and sides, you got 1,950 feet to build on. So it's, I guess you could squeeze a $300,000 home in there, but if you know about real estate and know about the developers, they won't put a house that valuable on a small lot, piled up. The houses, I don't know what you're looking at, but the houses that are adequate for that are much smaller than that. And there's no guarantee that it won't end up being some kind of modular or some kind of manufactured home. There's nothing set in stone to keep you from it. So I want to point that out. This room, I measured, it's 45 feet, so I wish it was 40 feet so you could see exactly how wide the lot would be. But it's bigger than the lots. This room is bigger than the lots. Don't point that out.
Yes, sir. Thank you for your service, President.
Anytime. My name's Steve Fowler. And my wife said, we live in that neighborhood. A little over 33. And what I would like for y'all to consider, you've got a lot of authority. A lot of your decisions can make a difference. But I have never heard a representative be so hypothetical with every area, the size of the house, the size of the lot, the number of the houses, and how wonderful it's going to be, and painting a picture that is not a foreseeable future. And I would like to see y'all set a standard and maintain the standard that the area will appreciate and the forefathers established in the size of the lot. It's made so the utilities can service the people properly. I am aware of some situations where sewage is backing up in houses because the sewage system needs to be improved. And now we're talking about 123 lots. That doesn't go in the road ditch. So please consider the standards that have established Cleveland for what it is for that place. Don't start moving down and cut things up. That would be up right there.
Anybody else? Yes, sir.
Is the mic working?
I think the batteries are out. Sounds like batteries.
They're still on.
I'll try to speak up a little bit. No problem.
Sorry, the battery's going out.
My name is Don Franks. I live at 315 Wall Street. I'm probably one of the newest neighbors to the neighborhood. I retired and bought my house in June of last year. The main reason I bought it is because it was a quiet neighborhood. Very little traffic. And where Mr. Leonard was trying to have his street come into Wall Street is just right, almost directly across from my house. Those streets can't handle that kind of traffic, as you've heard from other people speak. Not more than one car can turn in that curve at one time. You have to wait your turn. I don't know where all this traffic's going to go. It's not curb and gutter. It's just barely paved at best. So please consider this. Appreciate y'all's time.
Thank you. Anybody else? Ma'am, you can go after Mike, if that's okay, and you'll be next as soon as he's done.
My name is Mike Buckley. Address is 115 Gallagher. I own property all on Plum Grove Road. Now, I understand everybody's concerned. I've been a resident of my family, lived here for 45 years. My concern more is on Plum Grove because you got commercial property, you got non-commercial property, you got residential property. Right now, coming out just for school in the mornings, sometimes you gotta sit 30 minutes to come off on the side streets. I don't know how it's gonna work with anything else, but my concern too is what is considered commercial and what is not. Luckily for me, I was able to buy 4 acres beside my house because when that property was originally cleared to build a subdivision, people were looking at, oh, that's a gas station, or I could put a dollar store. So I bought it because I didn't want that on top of my house. Okay? My mom lives right down the road from me. So not so much about the property there, but everything else down Plum Road needs to be figured out if it's commercial, if it's residential, and what the restrictions are on it, because you do have a mixture of both. And then some is taxed as commercial, some is taxed as residential. So not only do you have an issue with what's going on here, but you do have an issue all along that area from Wells Road all the way up to South Line. So there's a lot of infrastructure there that needs to be brought up and considered too. So that's just what I wanted to bring up. Thank you for your time.
That's good. And because that road, it's yeah. And where this coming on, where this one? Where is commercial?
Hello, I'm Teresa Canyon. I live at 304 Inglewood. It's my understanding this backs up right to my house, right? Have y'all walked the property? Have you walked it? So you know it's low in the swamp. So you're gonna build it up. You're gonna push that water onto our house? Where's that water going? Okay, where's the water going? He's got to build up that property to build a home on it, because it floods. So when he builds it up, where's it going? Now, my mother and I bought this house in 1978. Lived there this whole time. Many of y'all I know, some I don't know, but get to know. And I agree with my neighbors. There's not a stop sign. We take care of each other. Even if I don't know your name, if there's something going on outside, I'll stop and help you. We can't have all this stuff coming through our neighborhood. Point to a neighborhood that has a neighborhood Easter egg hunt. This one does. What are we going to do? We got all these cars coming through. We can't do it. Kids get hit. Y'all got to think about these things. This is more than just a development. This is impacting lives. And this is just a handful of them. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
My name's John Ritchie. I've lived in Cleveland 48 years.
Sir.
I lived in the
Address?
96 Alameda Street, in a Circle Drive neighborhood. And I've lived in Tanglewood, I've lived in Kirbywood. In the last several years, I've lived in the Circle Drive neighborhood. And I'm not going to go back over everything everybody said, because it was great as far as how safe it is, and our children, our grandchildren playing. My son built a $350,000 home in Circle Drive just a year and a half ago. So, I mean, it's a beautiful place to be. But what I want to say is, I've lived in Cleveland so long, I've seen it when nothing was going on. It was stagnant. Now we're going places. We got the big Grand Oaks with the golf course, all the homes being built. You go down 321, there's new buildings popping up. Same on Washington Avenue, there's new buildings popping. But I just don't think this is the direction that Cleveland wants to go in. To pile 120 homes on 25 acres. For all the reasons you've heard already. And that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Is there anybody else? Yes, sir.
Hi, I'm Richard Payne. I live at 1100 South Property Avenue. And like some of the others, I'm fairly new to the neighborhood. I've lived here less than 10 years. My concern is selfish. I have almost $500,000 investment I have committed in the city of Cleveland. And if the city were to continue along this line that's being petitioned, it is going to devalue the property, and I would really hate to see the Cleveland lose that amount of tax base. And as I said, I feel selfishly about this and worry about my own investment here. For the city to consider this, it represents a breach of trust that we have placed in the leadership for the concerns of the citizens. I'll just leave that with you. Thank you.
Is there anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
My name is Mary Cone. I live in Tanglewood, but I own my parents' home on 308 Bryan Avenue. I moved my parents to Circle Drive, as I call them, my elderly kids. At the time, it was a safe neighborhood. My parents could go out for a walk. Everybody in the neighborhood looked after my father when he would ride his scooter all over. Yeah. When I would go see my dad on the way, I would drive all the way through Circle Drive pitching coins out the window so we could go for a walk. And Dad, ooh, and he'd get up and he'd pick up all the coins and he'd put them in a jug and he'd shake his jug and say, Mary, look at what I found. I'd take the jug the next day and we would do it over again. That is the kind of neighborhood that Circle Drive, that's the neighborhood that I knew that I wanted to move my parents in. That also became a neighborhood that my mother loved, even though she was there for a short time. Minnie, we got kids at the house trick-or-treating. So if you know what Circle Drive looks like at Halloween, that's the traffic that's going to move in to that area. That is, and that's going to be all the time. It's not going to be one day a year. My dad loved putting the Easter eggs out there for the Easter egg hunt. And he would look out the window to see if kids were coming. He'd go outside. As my father's Alzheimer's got worse, we would disable his scooter so he couldn't go out at 3 o'clock in the morning. So he decided he was going to take his walker because he was going home. A group of nice kids came and picked up my father to give him a ride. They quickly realized he was lost in more than one way. Meanwhile, they have a crazy person driving behind them going, you got my father. We drove down 1725 looking for my father, and then they finally realized that something was wrong with Dad, and they brought him back to the Circle Drive neighborhood. That is the kind of neighborhood that is Circle Drive. They are family. You know your neighbor. It is a great place to raise your elderly kids. Everybody would come to my parents' house for holidays. It had ample parking. The house, that neighborhood, as far as I know of, is not in a flood zone. That area, when it rains, you see in this subdivision all the water that's sitting there. They're going to have to build that up. So when that builds up, if there is little flooding, or to me it's going to come down that area, it's going to create more of a flood zone for that area, which is devalues. I decided to put my father's house up for sale. It was a tough decision for me because the neighborhood I live in isn't exactly a nice neighborhood. But if I move, for me, because that was the house that I bought with my husband, I didn't want to leave my husband for my parents, but that was a tough decision. Hearing about this potential subdivision, I think I made the right decision to stay in Tanglewood and sell my father's house.
Ma'am, you'll go after him.
After Joe.
Yes.
You go pay before you.
Thank you, Joe.
He's only 5 years older than I am. Okay, you've heard all these lovely people.
Ma'am?
that have lived there, 139 Circle Drive. I have lived there since I was 3 years old. Oh, Sue McClellan Hayes. McClellan is important.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, my brother was Hal McClellan, which you know. I have lived in that house since I was 3 years old. My father had built it for my mother. I have seen that neighborhood develop. I have seen it stay the same way. And they're right. If they build that, you can't go down Roosevelt from Wall. They're going to come right by my house. Because my house is 1 block off. I'm on the corner. It's 1 block off from Wall. They're going to come right by my house. And that traffic is not sustainable. It's always been terrible at Halloween. If it's that way every year, it's going to be awful. And that neighborhood is one of the few jewels in this town. We also are in the River Oaks of Cleveland as far as our taxes are concerned.
Yeah.
And if you want to mess that up, this is one way to do it. And I do know Don Belt is probably the only other person here that's lived there longer than I have. So, longer than I have. We're about the same age.
1951.
1950, we're about the same time. So anyway, think about that because it is a very special neighborhood. If you don't do something to increase for the traffic to go, because it's going to come right through Circle Drive because it can't go down Roosevelt. This gentleman with the house over here was exactly correct. Where his house is, there's no way it can go that way. So you've got to take all of that into consideration when you look on it. Thank you for your time.
I'm not sure about the beauty part. My name is Joe Bazar. I live at 104 Alameda Street. My wife and I, we bought our property and we built in 1969. And we built it because the area was safe, it was quiet, and it was a good place to raise a man. And it still is. And we ask this committee, please, leave this 25 plus acres zone as it is now. Thank you.
Yes.
Anybody else? Anybody outside? Yes, sir.
Hi, my name is Rich Felton. I live at 816 South College. I don't think anybody's put into perspective yet this 40 by 100 lot. So I'm a math guy. You have a 20-foot car. Now I know he said they were stick built, but let's compare it to a mobile home. Put a double wide. 12 by 60 mobile home, so 24 times 60 is, let's say 20 times 60. 1,200 square foot house, so what is it, really 1,400 square foot house? Okay, it's 40 foot wide, that's 24 feet. That leaves 16 feet left, so that's only 8 feet on each side of your house with no porches on the side, no decks on the side. Put a 20-foot car in front of it, that's what my car is, and East Holland Pathfinder, it's 20 feet. 20 feet and 60 feet is 80 feet, that leaves you 20-foot backyard, no deck. Come on, folks, put 2 cars side by side, you got no front yard, no deck on your house. Think about that for a minute on that 40 by 100 lot. Nobody said that yet.
Is there anybody else? No one?
I want to say something real fast. I know everybody up here is new. I've been on this board for several years, and in all the years I've been on this board, we've never seen this outpouring from a community. I think this speaks volumes for this area. I just don't want the new members up here to take that one.
Anybody else want to say something? Yeah, I have a few words.
I'll say something again.
Yeah, be nice.
Huh?
No, I was speaking to
I'll be nice. No.
There was a few comments that I kind of took offense to.
Nothing major. I just want to tell y'all, look, about the houses and things that were said. Look, I've lived here. We actually own commercial property here in town, okay? This is my town too. No matter how you look at it. My wife's family's been here since 1913, okay? My wife's law office has been there since 1948. Okay, so we have roots here, and it means something to me. I'm not going to put anything in this town that I don't think will help this town, this community. I sat on the EDC with Brent before. I've met with Scott and Danielle and everything. We've gone through this process to get to this point, okay? What I gather out of this whole meeting, of course, if I take that out, and I'm okay with that, taking out that street, if I can get the number the 113, because all these folks are talking about that street and the cars going through the street, right, through their neighborhood. And I understand that. Because if I lived in Cleveland, Texas, that is the neighborhood I've lived in. Now, after tonight, they might not want me to, but that's okay. But if I take out that street and figure out a way to come out only on Plum Grove Road, are they still going to be happy? Are they going to be happy with that? See, there you go. That's all I got to say.
Great. Go ahead.
My name is Joyce Adams. I live at 167 Circle Drive. And Mr. Lambert said that the main reason is there are not many school days that go by that we don't hear sirens coming off of Plum Grove Road, 1010, because of some accident, because of the amount of traffic. And if you build a subdivision right there where the only access is onto Plum Grove Road, how in the world will we be able to sustain that? There's no way. So thank you for letting me speak.
All right, I'd like to say a few words before we move on. I've lived in Cleveland since '96. My wife was here. She was from Parkman, but I'll hold it against her. Both of my daughters went through the school district. They are alumni. I graduated in '97. When they were little, I would take them to Circle Drive, and I would see all the traffic on Halloween. And I can't imagine seeing that on a daily basis, especially with little kids running around, and especially on, like, just to point out, on Halloween, the parents would park in one spot and then walk the entire neighborhood. Or if not, they would carpool with other parents and have the kids sit in the trunk with the trunk open and everything like that, and go house to house. You know what I mean? I mean, that, me being from the city, because I was imported, I lived in Houston my entire life, and then I came to Cleveland. That was unique, that was special. We didn't have that where I grew up. So that's a big, that Circle Drive neighborhood holds a special place in my heart. And yeah, I just feel that that's what I wanted to say. So moving on, we're going to motion.
I make a motion that we deny the variance request from R1 to the
I second that motion.
All right. Motion is that we deny the request. All those in favor of that motion, raise your hand. is, I guess, calling for an adjournment. We adjourn. Yes. All right, all those in favor? All right.